You've shot a podcast, you were being interviewed, now what? You're wondering to yourself, well, what do I do with this thing? Of course, okay, you can post it on social media, but there's got to be more to this thing. And you're right, there is. I want you to consider yourself your own PR firm. I also want you to think to yourself, well, man, I took the time to record this thing and I had something to say. Everybody in their God-given life needs to hear it. And I'm going to make sure everybody hears it. Well, Tiffany, I posted it once. So if you have 500 people that you're connected to on social media and you posted it once, chances is only 12 of those people actually saw it. If you post it over and over again, 3 or 4 times in that 24 hours, it's possible that we might find ourselves in the family of getting, 100 or 200 people to see it. But here's what you don't know. Here's what you haven't thought of. You want all 5,000 people to know that you're connected to, that you've done this thing. And who else is going to tell them if you don't? There is no magic button. Someone else is not going to pick it up and go knock on the other 4,448 doors and go, hey, she did this thing. Did you hear it? You've got to be the person to do it. And I have to set the tone for this because a podcast episode, this type of content has a totally different shelf life or thinking than the type of content that you might be thinking of, which is, I'm going to share the picture one time that we went to the falls in Wichita, Kansas, and that's it. Nah. Not only does it have a life, but it has a life forever. And it is never irrelevant, and there is no amount that is too much. I don't care what any person tells you. Everyone's going to make you feel like there's a certain amount of times that you should be posting for the day. And if you post a certain amount of times, that's the height of what you can do. I actually have a philosophy after, like in this post-pandemic life that we will both live out together. I don't think any number is too much for anything. And the reason why is because at some point I'm going to be shut up. I won't be able to say anything else. I'm done. And I don't want to be the hindrance for why the whole world didn't hear the story, because I was too afraid while I was here on earth to try to manage what everybody else was thinking. That's dumb. I'm not trying to do that. So I want you to be proud of whatever it is that you've created. And I don't care if you piss off everybody. For every person you piss off, there are 10 people who are like, yes, I needed that. Thank you. Yes, this resonated with me. Amazing. Let the 10% go about their business and keep crying. And if you're me, you might say a couple 4-letter words back to them. But the reality is that I need you to own it. And I have to set the tone for this because this is more than just what do you do? It's how do you think? And then what do you do? The other side of this coin is that there are a couple of tactical things that I want you to consider. I'm going to name them in order. Number 1, immediately you need to take what you've done and let the world know. Where? Your email list. Dear email list, I did something amazing. I talked about this thing. The world needs to know this was the toughest part. Holy Mother of Johnson, I want you to listen to this thing. Tell me what you think. Bye. Love you. Okay? Email. Second, I would love for you to take the link of wherever the item is, head to 5 or 10 friends and go, I just recorded this thing. It was amazing. What do you think about it? Does this resonate with you? Does this hit for you? The third thing that I'm going to ask you to do or to consider is I want you to head to social media. I personally want you to be using a tool so you can go everywhere. But if not, I want you to go to the platform that you feel the most comfortable. One of the easiest platforms to think of would be LinkedIn. And then outside of LinkedIn would be Facebook. Now, could you go to YouTube? Sure. Would it be great there? Absolutely. But I know it's a little bit more complicated. And if you don't have a channel going yet, then it might be like, oh, I'm not quite there yet. I just want you to let the world know somewhere. Ideally, Facebook or LinkedIn should be just fine. The other thing that I want you to consider doing is I want you to consider asking the person who recorded you, or if you were recording, I really want you to consider taking a clip of yourself, a picture, a selfie, where you're using your cell phone to create micro content in that macro content. And then you could use that tiny snippet to tell the world, hey, I did a thing and I think it's amazing and you should know about it. Telling the world and how to tell the world is actually like crazy important. The last thing I'm going to say to you here is that there is you and your willingness to let the world know, and there is your willingness to make it something valuable. Now, you can take it a step further and ask the person who has interviewed you for the clips from their place. Can I have a copy of the video? Can I have a clip? When will it be released? You also want to ask questions like, hey, are you going to be sending this out to your list? What are you doing to market the thing? You want to ask them, what date is it coming out? Where do you do it? Do you do clips? Do you do images? Do you do video? And the reason why is because you want to put it on your calendar. And on that day, you want to be like, oh my gosh, my thing just got released on that day, August 29th. My thing just got released. I recorded this blah, blah, blah with Mark, and it was amazing. And I think you should hear it. This way of thinking of your podcast episode is going to give you longevity, because it's not just the 30 minutes you recorded. It's the 10 minutes in between. It's the 60 seconds of dope things that, like, just ridiculous gems that you put on the ground for people to pick up. It is all of the moments of you dipping into parts that like we know are going to transform. Like, that one piece of content is like 45 right behind it. There's quotes. There's it being transcribed. You could run this thing until the wheels run ragged. It's not even fall off. They just run ragged. If you were to take that piece of content and then you came up with 10 quotes, you cut it up into 6 to 20 different micro pieces, and maybe you don't know how to do editing, but oh my gosh, there are so many AI tools today that you can drop that piece of content into and create reels for decades. In addition to that, there is transcribing it. Now you have no excuse to over and over again, and you don't have to share the same piece of content. You can share a different piece of content. All you need to do is drive it to the same link. The one thing. The link that has your amazing voice telling your dope story, sharing your wisdom with the world, and connecting with someone else who thought you were amazing. You got it? You just can't be silent on this game. This tactical way of getting to this is probably just about everything. And whether it's your podcast or someone else's platform, it is still your voice, and your voice has a life that will live forever. But no one's going to tell your story or to redistribute your story unless you do it first.